morning. How are you tonight? How do we create the life we want? What prevents us from creating the life we want? We have a lot of people out there talk about manifesting, but not everyone's doing it. What is blocking us? We're going to talk about that and much, much more tonight. In tonight's Reawaken You segment, with the holidays, I want you to examine your just becauses. And what do I mean by that? Say you want to have Christmas dinner, and every year in your family you make turkey, but this year you want to make an Italian Christmas dinner, but you think, oh, just because we've always done it this way, I can't do it another way. Or if you are trying to eat healthier this holiday and Aunt Maple says you have to eat this pie just because I've slaved over it all day and you feel guilty doing that, I'm going to encourage you to do what you want and to look in other areas of your life where the just becauses are and how you can let those go. For example, just because you've been friends with someone for 20 years doesn't mean you need to continue the friendship if that friendship doesn't nourish you and feed you and it's not someone that loves and supports you. And before I tell you about tonight's guest, a couple quick reminders. Next year, we're going to 4 p.m., still Wednesdays, but I'm listening to my intuition, and it says we've got to do this show in the afternoon. So 4 o'clock, I want to remind you that our next Reawaken You is this Saturday, and we'll have more details at the end of the show about that. And finally, we've had some little bit of choppiness on Bamboozer, so if you look down at your screen, you'll see Vaughn, and if you click on that, that's what most people are watching on now, and it'll be less choppy. All right, let's tell you about tonight's guest. Karen Paolino Correia has been called the real deal and is known for her authenticity and her passion for her work. Her spiritual journey started after a diagnosis of thyroid cancer in 1995. During her healing journey, she had a spiritual awakening and transformation where she discovered the amazing power of the mind, body, and spirit to heal. Fully recovered from the cancer, her life purpose to help others tap into this power became clearly defined. Karen has become an international and inspirational writer, teacher, and speaker. Karen's pure intention in all her work is to empower others to heal and discover their true magnificence. She established her spiritual center for the soul, Heaven on Earth, in 1999. Karen is the author of 4 books and just completed her 5th book, which is awaiting publication. Karen and her husband, Louis, live in Massachusetts with Karen's children. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And special thanks to shout out to our friend Vincent Jenna, who was our inaugural guest on the show and has been here and participated in everything, who suggested having Karen on the show. So thanks to Vinny.
Thank you, Vinny.
All right, let's get started. How do we create the life we want? Because I know everyone's like, I want this and that. I mean, I had a conversation with a friend today who said, why can't I find that relationship? So how do we do that?
Well, that's a big question, Julie. I teach people that first and foremost, it really starts with desire. You have to really want something to, one, create it, but also to work through the stuff that's in the way, that where you might be blocking yourself through your own fears or unworthiness or feelings of, beliefs from your past that might get in the way. So, the first step is to really have a desire pure in your heart and soul to really want something. And then there are so many steps to take after that. But I would say that's the first key, to really, really want something.
Let's talk about desire for a moment, because when I help people and they're saying to me, oh, I want to do this, this, and this in my life. And I said, well, look at the time you spend. And a lot of times we say we want A, but when we look where we're putting our focus and effort, it's not on what we say we want. So what do you think the key is? How do we find out what we truly want? Because that sounds like that's the first step.
Well, one, it has to, I think I'll talk personally and through different students, clients that I work with, but I feel one of the most important things is when I really want something, I can't let go of it. It's something that's constantly coming into my thoughts and my awareness. I'm asking the question, how do I do this? What are some of the ways that I can get beyond my fears and my blocks? And then if I really want something, or if a client really wants something, they're willing to work through those inner fears, those inner blocks. They're willing to take what I call inspired action. and they're willing to trust their intuition. They're willing to work it. I mean, I share with people on their spiritual path, there are a lot of miracles that happen, and I've witnessed and I've experienced many miracles, but you have to work your spiritual path.
So talk a little bit about that. I mean, I'm going to share something that's extremely personal, though people that are close to me know this. We're working on having children. I'm recently married, and trying to balance that. We both do want children more than ever anything. And it's interesting that you talk about blocks, and I want to get in more of that. And I had some things happen recently to me actually regarding the show, and I'm like, what's this drama with the show? I never have this. It's crazy. And I said, okay, you create your life. So let's step back. What's going on inside of you? And what was fascinating is it had to deal with the kids and my fears and my blocks. But before we get in, if you want to, we can talk about blocks now, or do you want to talk about inspired action?
No, I think talking about blocks would be key first.
Okay, so let's talk about blocks, because it's a hard thing, because it's something I want so badly, and it's so emotional, and balancing and being like, and what I'm trying to do, okay, is accept how it is, accept how it comes, because of course I want to control everything. But I just did some work recently on my blocks and whatever else it is. I'm like, whatever else, let's rock and roll and get rid of it, because we're ready.
Okay, so one is to be very conscious. What's going through your thoughts, and what are your actions in accordance to what you really desire? So let's say, one of the words that say, I have this ability, which has come through years of practice, really listening to people. And is there a part of you that's worried about losing the balance in your life, having children in your life?
There might be. I mean, I'm laughing. I'm like, great, another block, but what else is new? You know what?
Well, I heard you say the word balance, and it was like so
okay.
short, but it was there. And so when we have a conscious awareness of a block or of a fear, then it's time to challenge it. And it's not to say a fear or block is bad, because then you're going to get stuck in it. It's an opportunity for growth, okay? It's an opportunity for transformation. So if you have an awareness, okay, I really want to lose weight. Well, what's blocking you? Well, maybe, it's that you have the excuses in your thoughts. I don't have time to go to the gym. Okay, well, let's face that. What times do you have to get to the gym? Okay, so it's being aware what excuses, what fears, what blocks are you consciously thinking of? Are your actions following? And then challenging them and breaking through the fear of the blocks so you can start moving forward on your desire, on your manifestation, what you really want to create. One of the biggest blocks for people, and Vinny and I were just having this discussion tonight, is worthiness. Are we really worthy and deserving of having what we really want? Okay? Or are we afraid things are going to change? Are we going to lose control? Are we going to fail? These are things that, these are common thoughts, some of them can be very conscious, but we have a lot of subconscious, where we have a lot of beliefs in our subconscious mind. But the more that what I love doing is working the spiritual aspect of it. So if you say, this is what I desire, I really, really want this, then for me, some people know that I'm an angel messenger as well as a life coach, a hypnotherapist, a soul coach. But, I'm going to call on my teams, my divine spiritual helpers, my cheerleaders in spirit. I'm going to say, okay, I really want this. Help me, guide me, show me what's blocking in the way, or show me the opportunities or the miracles or the synchronicities to create what I really want. So I'm going to ask for help from the divine first and foremost.
Okay, so that would be the first step, because you talked about conscious awareness, so being aware of our thoughts, but is the first step. But then if we don't know, you talked briefly about our unconscious thoughts, which are really driving everything. How would someone go about finding out what they're truly thinking?
Well, that's That's through conscious awareness. I mean, you have to be conscious. Okay, I feel sometimes we can ask our higher self, we can ask our soul, show me. Sometimes it might come up in a dream. If you ask to be shown, and that's a big piece of it, I'm asking to be shown what's blocking my way. If there's something subconscious, if there's something I'm unaware of, it may come through a dream. It may come through a client that comes to me and I'm working, they're telling me their story, their challenges, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, that's me. I just got a piece of my own puzzle. And so the more you ask for the awareness, then it comes, then you have to consciously choose to work through it.
And is that what you mean when you say inspired action?
No, inspired action is when you have a conscious awareness of something and all of a sudden either your intuition says, call this person, they can help you. And then there's a little voice in your mind that says, or in the back of your head says, well, they're going to think I'm crazy if I call them. But you know what? It was inspired. It was intuitive. It felt right when it first came. Just do it. I love using the Nike symbol. Just do it. Take inspired action. See where it takes you. Sometimes it's like connecting the dots. So, one thing that I do is I follow the clues from the universe. So let's say I ask for a wonderful speaking opportunity to share my passion, to do what I love to do. And I get this email of an opportunity. Well, if I ask for it, I'm going to follow through. It might not be the end result, but it might be energy that I'm putting out there and moving forward, and I'm moving through my own fears saying, yes, I'm ready, I want to do this. Or it might be a connecting the dot. It might take me to the next lead.
I really like that because one thing that I used to get stuck a lot on was not necessarily a tit for tat, but I'd be like, okay, if I do A, then B should immediately follow. Well, it doesn't always work that way. So I try to view everything as, okay, this is an opportunity for the moment and trust whatever you're supposed to get out of this will happen. And you don't know if you meet someone that brings you kind of like you're talking about connecting the dots, but that was something I had to switch in my mind, that it was less linear as opposed to maybe more circular or spiral, maybe I'd say now.
Right. And it might be a matter of divine timing. One of the things I teach in manifesting is always be open to your highest and best, better than you could ever imagine. So let me break that down. First, being open to your highest and best is, why would you want to create something if it's not in your highest and best? So I don't necessarily want to create something if it's not great for my relationship with my husband, or if it's not good for my kids. Or if it's not good for myself and I'm not aware of that. So first, I ask that my desire be manifested for my highest and best and the highest and best of all concerned. And then I add the prayer or the intention, better than I could ever imagine. And what that's about is we can play small. Part of manifesting, the level of manifestation that I'm teaching at right now, and what I'm working at for my personal life and my business, is manifesting from my divine true self, my God self, the self that's one with all that is, that powerful, quote, me that is one with the divine and is more powerful than I could ever imagine and creates miracles all the time. So better than I could ever imagine gets me out of my own way. It may move unworthiness to the side. It may help me get beyond playing small when my soul wants me to play big. So those are key points in what I teach about manifesting. Manifesting, asking for your highest and best, and the highest and best of all, and asking for better than you could ever imagine.
Karen, we have a question here for you on chat, and I want to remind everyone, if you want to chat a question to Karen, I'm happy to ask it, or you can call at 919-518-9773 or Skype Computers 2K Voice. Spirit Boy would like to know, can you teach people how to connect with their guides and guardian angels?
That's what I do for a living. That's one of my passion things. That's why I'm here in North Carolina, to help people connect and communicate with their divine guidance. One is taking the time to do it wherever you are and whatever's going on in your life. Stop, take time out, go into your thoughts. You don't have to go into formal prayer. You could be in the shower and you could ask for guidance. You can be in the car, turn the radio off and talk to your angels, talk to your guides, say this is what's going on. But the biggest thing that I teach in connecting, communicating with the divine, because we have free will and free choice, and that was our gift coming into this life experience, is you have to ask for help and support. So when you start asking, things start happening. Miracles, synchronicities, coincidences, your intuition starts kicking in to guide you along the path. So where I talk in manifesting about having a true desire in connecting and communicating with the divine is the number one thing to start with is ask for what you need. Ask for help. Ask for guidance.
Now, I have a follow-up question I wanted to ask you because I think it deserves some more examination. You talk about listening to our intuition, and maybe your intuition tells you something, but that little voice or ego says, hey, don't do it. You'll sound like a nut job. That's crazy. But I think that a lot of people struggle with that. So what advice would you have for someone who's, maybe for the first time opening up, trying to listen to their intuition, and what do they do to get over that?
First I would ask, is that guidance coming from love or is it coming from fear? That's a very simple way that you can, connect immediately. If it's coming from love, then it's coming from your true self, your higher self, your guide, your angels. I don't care what you call it. It's coming from divine self. If it's coming from fear, then it's probably your ego stepping in or your personality getting in the way. So ask yourself, is my intuition or is my guidance that's coming through, is it coming from love or fear? And I would always follow love, no matter what. Mm-hmm. One of in my first book that I channeled, it was a channel book, it was all about transforming your fears into miracles of love by simply asking one question: what would love do? And many times, when you're making choices in your life, we're choosing from fear, we're not choosing from love. So somebody asked me the other day, well, how do I know if it's divine guidance? And I said, well, is it coming from love or is it coming from fear? And let me ask you the question first, what would fear do? And she said, I wouldn't leave my job because I'm too scared and what's going to happen? Oh no, what if? And I said, what would love do? And she said, listen and trust and follow my heart and my soul and stop living in this rat race. Do you know what I mean? So you can always go to love or fear and you'll be guided in that answer.
I love that. This is fantastic. But we have another question here from Spirit Boy that I want to get to for you. He says, I usually need some type of tool to help me with things like that. What do you use to help people connect? And he wants to know if you wrote the books behind you.
Yes, I did. Both books. That's two of my books. The Everything Guide to Angels, I would recommend that one from people. That's the one I use in my teaching and my certification program. It really is true to the title, The Everything Guide to Angels. You can get it through bookstores, Amazon, or my website, and the 101 Ways to Meet Your Angels. But there's so many tools in there, so I definitely would recommend The Everything Guide to Angels. But, for me, when I first started connecting, and, that's why people can relate to me, because I didn't grow up this psychic child or anything. I mean, mine came through going through my cancer, and I was scared, and I was living in a very chaotic life. And there was a meditation class at my gym I was an aerobics instructor. Like, when was the last time you saw a meditation class at a gym? And I decided to attend because they talked about having peace. And that was my very first connection with my guardian angel. And again, you know, to the connection of the gentleman who was asking on the phone, I thought I was making it all up when I first connected. And then the more I went back to the meditation class, so the more I connected with my guardian angel, and eventually, I didn't even know it was my guardian angel. I eventually asked, "Who are you?" And she said, "I'm your guardian angel." And she gave me a name. And again, I thought I was making it up. But it felt so good. I was so scared. And every time I called on her, I felt peace and comfort. So it didn't matter if I was making it up because it was getting me through one of the toughest times in my life. And then I asked for confirmation. And what happened was I'd never gone to a psychic before. And I ended up, you know, actually inviting myself to somebody's party that I was like, "Can I come?" And I was scared to death. I didn't know what the psychic was going to tell me. And she described my guardian angel. She shared things only my guardian angel had told me in meditation. And she just validated everything that had been happening for almost 7 months. And that was it. I thought, if a complete stranger can see and hear the same things that I'm seeing and here, it's got to be real. And that was validation for me. So you can be a skeptic before you're a believer, but I guarantee you that if you connect and communicate with your angels, your guides, even your soul, you will get validation. You will get confirmation that will help you move from doubt to faith.
Is there a quick exercise or a tool that you wouldn't mind sharing just because Spirit Boy had asked for one that you can think of?
Well, you know what's coming to me? I'm going to trust, because I prayed before I came on the show, how may I serve for the highest and greatest good of all? I'm going to give a great tool, and this is how communication really started flowing. Talk to the angels in the shower.
How about the bathtub? I'm a bathtub girl.
Well, bathtub, shower, either one. There's something about the water. There's something about that bubble of time for yourself. But start communicating. You're going to notice that there's going to be a flow or thoughts coming through. And just ask for guidance. So I'm going to direct him to play with that for a week and see what happens. Ask a question. Ask for guidance about something, and then stop after you ask and just listen. It doesn't come, for most people, it doesn't come as a voice like we're talking to each other now. It comes through your thoughts, and you'll have a thought about something, or you'll hear a message, and it may be simple at the beginning as, you know, stop and talk to me, or pray more, or listen more, or trust, or faith. And then the more you practice, the more you ask, the more it starts to flow. They know how to get in touch with you. If you can hear, if you're clairaudient, you pay attention to your thoughts, they'll talk through your thoughts. At the beginning, I used to get chills up and down my spine when they were around me. And that's how they were trying to help me pay attention and trust that they're around. I mean, you can't make up chills going down your back and your arms, or the hair sticking up behind your neck, or the lights would flicker. Things will happen.
We've got a couple questions here for you on chat. I want to share a comment first. First, Spirit Boy says, "That's great, thank you." And Susie Q says, "I love all your books and highly recommend all of your courses." I'm going to do Skylar's second question first. He or she would like to know, why do some people get clear guidance and some don't? And then he has another question.
Okay, that's a great question. And again, we're going to go back to manifesting. Desire, desire, desire. You have to really want to open up that channel. There are people, I know when I first started and really was confirmed it was my guardian angel, I went and bought a stack of books like this. I went through every one. I wanted to open my awareness. I wanted to learn. So my desire was really strong to learn more about how to connect and communicate. And I chose to strengthen that connection and communication through meditation. So I started meditating it every day or writing back and forth with my angels. And so your desire creates the outcome. The more you open your awareness to how they can connect and communicate with you, the more you're going to pay attention. You know, one of the things that I talk about in my workshops, think about paying attention, okay? Before I didn't know the angels were even around me. I didn't pay attention to it. And then once I started to pay attention, books would fall off shelves. Other people started to talk about angels. I saw classes that were being offered. It's the same thing when you go shop for a car. You know, you go and you decide, I'm going to go to Toyota, and all of a sudden you're driving a RAV4. And you're on the road test driving it, and this is exactly what happened to me. And then I went home with my son after, this was years ago, and I said, I'm going to think about the car. And I drove home, and all I saw were RAV4s everywhere. And they were also silver RAV4s, the exact color that were they always on the road? Were they always there? Yes. But I wasn't looking. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't open my awareness to it. So the more you choose and have a desire to say, I want to connect and communicate with the divine. I want to have these spiritual experiences. I want to experience miracles. I want to experience coincidences, synchronicities. The more you have that desire, the more it's going to open up to you.
Okay, fantastic. And I want to get to Skylar's second question and remind everyone, if you have a question for Karen, I'm happy to ask her, or call 919-518-9773 or Skype Computers 2K Voice, because this is your show. Skylar says, how do you differentiate the energies between your spirit guides and your guardian angels?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, when you start studying and understanding and connecting, they're different vibrations, okay? So your guardian angels, and this is what I'm, sharing with everybody at the event tomorrow night, is that I'm helping people connect with their guardian angels. Everybody has, I always talk in my workshops, I ask, has anybody had this easy flowing journey where nothing's happened and you just slide through life and everything's cool and calm? And, it just doesn't happen. So we knew we were signing up for this life experience. We knew we had lessons, challenges, we had joys, we had creations that we were going to experience, we had children that we were going to birth. But I believe that our soul, our essence said, here are some guardian angels from the first breath that you take that will be by your side till the last breath you take. So all of us were gifted guardian angels. Your guardian angels, Julie, are your guardian angels. My guardian angels are mine. And so we are truly never alone on our path, never, ever alone. And we're constantly surrounded in love and protection. It's our choice if we want to connect with that. So those are our guardian angels. They are messengers of light from God's source. They have not incarnated in a physical body. Spirit guides, this is what I believe and what I've experienced. Spirit guides, we might have been with another lifetime. Spirit guides have been in the life experience, but they might have specialties. Like sometimes, people that write books, they have writing guides. Or, John of God in Brazil, he has doctor guides, okay, who work through him. So they've had the experiences, they've had the gifts and talents where they can advise us from the other side to things that we need to do on our journey. So those are spirit guides. Sometimes our loved ones in spirit are guides for us too.
Okay, great. Thank you. So then that was actually going to be one of my questions. So everyone does have a guardian angel. Do they have more than one, or just kind of depends?
When I connect with people, sometimes there can be one that makes their presence known. Sometimes 3 will show up. People that are healers, helpers, nurses, sometimes they have more guardian angels. just because they're working with more people in the healing and helping field. So it depends.
And so, does it really matter who we ask for guidance or help from? All of the above?
You know, it's really up to the person. You can just open up to all that love is. There's so much there. And you can just say, help. Help me from the divine light is a great way to say it. But you can also call on Archangel Michael. You can call on the Blessed Mother. You can call on your guardian angels. You can call on, 10,000 angels. Sometimes with my kids, I call on Archangel Michael, Blessed Mother, and 10,000 angels. Surround them now, especially when I'm not in faith and I might be in fear.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so true. That I love how you said earlier about asking, is this coming from love or coming from fear? Because I think so many times we operate from fear just because it's automatic. That's how
Right.
we've been operating. And, you gave the great example of the client who's like, what happens if I leave my job? And I think a lot of people, would come from that place. I want to talk a little bit about harnessing the power within. If there's anything we haven't talked about yet that you want to start, because we have all the answers within and inside of us, and I know definitely for me it took me a long time to get there. I was always seeking answers everywhere else but from within me. And again, I think I'm pretty typical, because I think we all see the powers being out there. It's not something they hold inside. So I'd like to talk about that now.
You know, I have been doing soul entrainment, which is soul entrainment. I facilitate it now and I teach other people how to facilitate it. But for one, I was doing it one-on-one for the past 17 years. And what it is I help people connect with their soul. I become one with their soul at the same time. And then we journey with the soul to find the answers, to heal, to discover life purpose. It's done through hypnosis. So what happens is they go into relaxation, but I give them a tool of connecting with their soul through the image of a star. It's just symbolic. And then once they're connected to their soul, I start asking them to ask their soul questions that they need guidance on or healing. Now, through the 17 years of experience, it's the most powerful work I've done. I've realized that we do have all the answers within us. Our soul is connected to our higher self, God, all that is. It knows everything about you, past, present, and future. It knows your plan. It knows where you've been in other lifetimes. It knows if you're ready to know your soul's plan. It knows if you have fears to work through. It knows everything, and I trust the soul completely. So if, for example, the client says, I want to know the root cause of why I'm so afraid, or I have financial fears or financial difficulties. If they're ready to know, the soul will take them to the root cause. If they need to have other experiences in order to get to it, then the soul will tell them what their next step is. So it's proven to me that we do have all the answers. It's about getting to the answer. And how do we get to the answer? One is, we're going to go back to that first important step, desire. How I ended up connecting with this work was I said, I want to see into the soul. I've heard so much about the soul. What is the soul about? I want to see into the soul. By asking, I was given by my guides how to reconnect with the soul. So when we reconnect with our true divine self, we end up discovering we have everything we need within us. And everything can come from focusing on from within and then experiencing on the outer. So reconnecting with your true, capital T, self, your divine essence, will help you remember you have the answers within. And sometimes it's stopping. Go into quietness. Go into a meditation. Write down a question and ask for the answer. Ask the divine to guide you. Ask your soul to guide you. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, somebody crosses your path and they're giving you the answer. Was it in you? Yeah, but it's reflected outside of you because you asked to know. So I do believe we have the answers. what we are looking for sometimes is confirmation and validation. So we go for a reading, or we go to a workshop, or we go to, talk to a friend, because we just want to be. Most of the readings that I do, they say, I knew it, but they weren't trusting it. They weren't acting on it. They weren't making the change. Many times divine guidance is just about validating yourself, validating what your intuition has already been telling you. And that, guess what the other big word is that we doubt, we don't trust. Mm-hmm. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust that we have the answer. We don't trust our intuition. So we need outside sources to validate.
That's a great point. But you mentioned something that I'd love you to comment more on. You said, when you're talking to someone, if your soul's ready, we'll get to the root cause of your money issues, or if not, we'll get to the next step. So talk about that, because there's so many layers sometimes to an issue or healing or whatever it is. And, we're in the society that wants everything yesterday, want it like this. So talk a little bit maybe about layers, or if you'd use a different term about that when it comes to healing or working with your soul or what have you.
Well, sometimes this is just what I've witnessed through working with, many, many, many clients. And if they're ready, like sometimes, and it's frustrating because it's, I live this life experience, but sometimes we get to a layer of our past or a layer of healing that is at the time a big layer to heal. So let's say, I'm just going to throw one out about fears around finances. Well, maybe you get to the layer that your parents were fighting about money all the time. And so you don't want to create more money because you don't want to create more fights, in your relationships. And so then you bring awareness to that, and your soul gives you that awareness, that memory. And then you say, okay, wait a minute, that's the past. How can I transform that? How can I shift that? And maybe the soul will give you a way to change and shift that and bring light to it. Instead of fear, bring love to it. And then maybe 2 years down the road, you get to all of a sudden another experience in your life, and something gets triggered, or your soul says, okay, now it's time to look at this. And it's another deeper layer. But I feel like it's peeling away an onion. Mm-hmm. The more we begin to peel, the more we get to the light, the more we get back to the essence of who we are. So our soul always wants to support us in healing, in awakening, in becoming more light and joyful. I mean, the soul is all about joy, abundance, love, purpose, trust, joy. And so why wouldn't our soul want us to get to that? But sometimes it might be too much at once to all of a sudden rip all the layers of the onion away, and then you're completely invulnerable, and some people go into spiritual crisis. Mm-hmm. Where they just get totally confused, and then they don't know what to do. So I've trusted the soul knows exactly how to give it to you. You know the saying, you're never given more than you can handle? Well, working with the soul, I know that's very true. And our soul always wants to support us for our highest and best, better than we could ever imagine.
Right. And you also, as you mentioned earlier, divine timing.
Divine timing.
How that plays a part, and that, at the moment, maybe you can't see it, but then after the fact, you can look back and say, oh, now I understand. Right. It makes perfectly sense. And, I just got married later in life. I used to go to Vinny, when am I going to find someone? When am I going to find someone? Because that was really important to me. But I would not have changed it for the world. He is exactly what I need. And I get it now. I needed to heal myself and work on some things. And if I hadn't done the work, then I wouldn't have gotten the amazing man that I did. So
if you hadn't awakened the love or self-love within you,
yes,
you wouldn't have. Right. And that's, I work with clients on that quite a bit. I said, work on yourself, awaken the love within yourself, and you'll attract that loving relationship to you.
Now, I also want you to touch on, because when I've said this to people, and I had to realize, and I get it, everything's about me. Even when I'm annoyed, someone's annoying me, trust me, I'm well aware it's my issue, and I can admit it right away. But that's really a hard thing for people. And again, I went through a process, and someone said to me, "Oh, you finally got it," because you said to me, "Why is this going on in my life? Why did I create it?" Instead of pointing out there. So I'd like your thoughts on how what is going on in our life creates our reality.
Yeah. Well, it's it's about checking within what's going on with me in this situation. How am I reacting to this person? You know, that's a spiritual journey, is stopping playing the blame game. And that's spiritual growth, when you stop playing the blame game. And it's not that you dabble into it here and there along the way, but you become very conscious. Wait a minute, this isn't about the other person, this is about what's going on with me in it. And the other thing, that the next step in that, it's not about the book I write. Okay, what's going on within me? It's about sharing, it's about inspiring, it's about getting through my own fears of, I never thought I was going to write a book. If you had told my parents, 20 years ago I'd have 4 books now, they would have said, she's stunk in English. I was going to say something else. But, it's not, it's about passion. And so the book is about allowing myself to express the passion within me, to inspire others to say, you can do this too. But, it's not, everything's a reflection of what's going on with you and your creations. That's a spiritual path that takes time to bring awareness and understanding to. But it's much more freeing when you stop getting stuck in blaming somebody else or being angry and resentful. It doesn't mean that you don't. I mean, it still happens. But if you can reflect back, what's going on with me and how can I heal myself? How can I bring more peace within me? How can I feel more joyful? Those are your greatest teachers, to tell you the truth. If it's a loss of a job, if it's your greatest opportunity, if it's your mother driving you crazy or pushing your buttons all the time, I've looked at it as, wow, these are my greatest teachers. It's not fun, but it's opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was in a situation that happened, and I try now, whenever I communicate with someone, to come from a place of love and open communication. And so my first step was doing that, and then it just wasn't the response, whatever, they were upset. But then I asked myself, what will bring me peace? And I heard that answer and I did it. Now my ego wanted to do something else, but I thought, that route doesn't work for you most of the time. So I said, you know what? I did it, and then I could let it go, and I had peace.
Well, in the book, I talked about practicing that simple question, what would love do, every day. Well, it's for 40, you do it for 40 days. I've done it. I'm actually on my 22nd time right now with a group. And it takes a while to learn what would love do sometimes. But, one of the biggest things I've learned is the answer most of the time is, what would love do? Nothing. Stay quiet. Go within. And I was surprised at how I had to grow through that. It wasn't reacting. It wasn't trying to fix. It wasn't defending. It wasn't proving. It was stopping and going within. And what would love do was saying nothing sometimes. That was hard for me.
I think that's true, but I also have come to believe or learn the truth doesn't need to defend. I mean, one of the things, I used to always justify everything I did, and even if it was the right or correct thing, I felt this need to explain myself. I do that less more. Say, I'm coming from the truth. This is it. No, this is it. There's no need to go on and on and on. Now, I wanted to ask you about something that I read on your site or somewhere that I thought was very interesting. You say that we have the potential of creating the life we want around us. And what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I remember, I think it was after my sister passed, probably in 1999, she passed. And in 2000, I was at a training in Virginia Beach. I was training as in past life regression. I did a week-long training. And one of the exercises that we did, we went back to the beginning of our soul, and it was a life-changing experience for me. And I was overwhelmed at the magnificence of what my soul was. But I remember coming out of that week and changing my business. At that time, it was called Wings to Wellness because I had found my wings to wellness. And I said, I'm calling my business Heaven on Earth. And I knew somewhere deep inside me, you know how you have that knowing, that we could create heaven on earth here and now. And I said, I made a commitment to myself, I want to create heaven on earth in every aspect of my life. And so it slowly started to transform. I ended up leaving my corporate job to follow my passion in my work as, you know, a hypnotist at that time. And I was teaching meditation and yoga classes. That was the passion in my heart. Was it scary? Absolutely. I was leaving a part-time $75,000 job to step into the unknown, but I knew it felt right. Then, you know, the next step was looking at my marriage at the time and saying, you know, is this true to who I am? And then having to work on that. And then, you know, once, you know, I made a decision about that, that was years of work. And then stepping out on my own saying, oh my God, now I've got to financially create a life for my kids and myself. And then saying, okay, I've got to work with the principles, come from within, believe that I can do this. I had this little voice in the back of my mind that says, you've got to go work at Dunkin' Donuts to make it happen. And then there was a knowing in my soul that I was helping people and I just had to get more clients. And so I made a deal with God. I went to the desk of God and I said, all right, I know I'm doing work that's meaningful. It's helping people. I love it. But show me that I can pay my bills on time and show me that I can have enough. And sure enough, 6 months, I was paying my bills on time, you know, paying it in pennies. But I had a lot of stress. So I said, okay, show me more that I don't have to go, you know, not that working at Dunkin' Donuts is bad. It was just that fear of losing the flexibility of being there for my kids. And, you know, it was just not what I wanted. And so before you knew it, I built up to buy a home for them. And then when it came time for a relationship, you know, I said, okay, I want to create that healthy, loving, spiritual relationship. I put my wish list together. I called in my angels. And that was the next experience of heaven on earth. And then, you know, creating the center with the name Heaven on Earth was, you know, so I really believe, and I still have that commitment that not only create heaven on earth for myself, but to teach other people how to do it for themselves. I do believe we all have the power to experience love, joy, peace, fulfillment, service. You know, it's there. It's who we are. But we have to believe it. We have to take inspired action, work through our fears to create it in form. We have to work from the inside out.
Absolutely. Now I want you to turn, and I can't remember which side. There, good job. So talk about the illumination chair, which is Thy Will Be Done, which is Karen. So tell us about that.
So it says, Thy will be done, better than you could ever imagine. And on the cushion, it says, I am. And on the other side, it says, and so it is. So this has been over the past year. You know, I've been teaching manifestation for, I don't know, it's been 10, 12 years that I wanted to help other people manifest some of the things that I, created in my life. I've said if I can do it, they can do it too. But this process, this illumination chair, has been really inspired over the past year of my own spiritual journey, also becoming a life coach and having an experience during my life coach training of being in an illumination chair, which is just about really stepping into that divine space, that divine knowing, and going into the power of visualizing, affirming, and stating, what you really want with feeling and knowing as if it's already done. So this illumination chair came to mind. It actually is the cushions from the chair that I rocked my kids in from birth. So it's a chair of love. And Thy Will Be Done is about owning your divine self in oneness with all that is, and saying that your will and God's will is one and the same. It's no different because you are the divine. So when you say Thy will be done better than you could ever imagine, you are proclaiming your desire, your manifestation in the name of God, and saying, I believe that it's already done. And if it's in my highest and best, it's going to be better than I could ever imagine. So this is my coaching chair that all my coaching clients sit in, and I brought it to North Carolina because I'm going to use it in my workshop on Saturday morning, that I want each person to bring a dream, a desire. I ask people when they come for the group workshop that they focus on one desire, one dream that they want, and then we work through a manifestation process where they recognize and come into their divine self, but they also recognize the fears and the blocks to say, okay, I need to bring awareness, I need to be conscious of this and not let fear control or the block, so take down the walls so you can start really manifest for pure joy, desire, intention, and then talk about the inspired action piece. How do you start moving forward once you proclaim? So each person has an opportunity to visualize themselves or actually be in the chair and see the light coming up, see the golden light. That's the connection from bringing heaven and earth as one. When the woman that designed the chair for me, from the vision that I had, she sat in it in the prototype, and I said, oh my God, I see a light from heaven to earth, coming through you. We need to create that intention in the chair. So that when you affirm something in the I am, you are saying, my divine self is claiming this to be so now. And therefore, those miracles start forming, the physical manifestation, the energy that you need to bring it into physical form starts coming into your awareness, your potential.
Now, Karen, there are a couple questions I like to ask each guest. The first is, what advice would you have for someone who's really struggling right now? They might be going through divorce, lost a job, they're just in a really tough place. What would you say to them?
Great question. And I would encourage them and just think about this right now. Even if you're not in a tough place, even if you're in a good place, what do you want to feel? What do you really want to feel? So, like you said, if it's peace, then focus on asking, show me the way to peace. Show me the path of peace. Focus on the feeling that you desire. Because sometimes we can't get through the stuff to focus on what we want. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. When I went through my divorce, I was so distraught. I was so emotionally chaotic. I couldn't sleep, all the other things that came with it. I finally just said, I can't figure things out right now. I'm so scared. I'm so lost. So every night before I went to sleep, I just put my hands on my heart. I call on my divine guidance and I just say, show me peace. Just guide me, help me to become one with inner peace. That's all I can ask for now. So I would encourage them to focus on, what do you really want to feel? And don't focus on, if you're in fear, don't say, releasing fear or stopping fear. Say, what do you really want? Well, maybe it's peace. Maybe it's joy. Make it an affirmation that's positive. It's a good feeling, not attaching it to a feeling you don't want.
Fantastic. Now, the other thing, I'm all about taking action, and I want people who watch the show to do something. So what one step can people take right after the show before they go to bed or tomorrow morning to reawaken their brilliance?
Oh, what a great question. I would say oh my God, I could think of like 15 things, but I would say the one thing that's coming to me, ask to know your magnificent true self. I would say that, that's what led me into manifesting, because I really wanted to know who I was. I want to know who I am and why am I here. And so if you ask to know your true, authentic, even if it's your true, authentic self, but ask to know your true magnificence, your true divine self, ask that to be shown to you.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a bunch of things. After my big thing I think I'm taking away from tonight is, what would love do? Because you've got to remember, it's either love or fear, and to remember, okay, is that because I'm like, I've been thinking about some things and can possibly making a decision based on fear. So that was a nice little message from the universe. There were several tonight for me. Now, can you tell us about your website? And someone wants to know about the North Carolina workshop and anything else you have coming up. So first, what's your website?
Okay, my website is createheaven.com. Surprise, surprise, right? createheaven.com. There's so much information on there. You can play with different things. I would definitely go to it and explore, be open to your highest and best, what you find on there. I'm in North Carolina, and you probably know, Julie, the spiritual frontier. I can't remember the exact place I'm going, but it's through Spiritual
Frontier Fellowship.
Fellowship, okay.
But if they go to your site, there's information on it, right?
Yes. And also, if you go to the Spiritual Frontier Fellowship website, that's also all the information is there. So tomorrow night, I'm doing Meet Your Guardian Angel. It starts at, I believe, 6:30 or 7. You see, I just got off a plane and I'm just acclimating to everything. And so tomorrow night is Meet Your Guardian Angel. Then Friday, I'll be doing half-hour readings. People are booking private readings on Friday. Saturday morning at 10 o'clock to 12:30, I'm going to do Manifest Your Dream with the Illumination Chair. And then Saturday afternoon, I'm going to be doing private coaching sessions. I have 4 slots open for the 1-hour private coaching session. So people would bring something they want to create or something they want to manifest in their life, or even if they want to reach a specific goal.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. I know now I'm going to see if I can, whatever. I mean, I'm all excited now. Sorry. I'm off and running in 1,000 different directions. But I want to thank you. And again, shout out to Vinny and Eileen for hosting you and for suggesting you the guest. And I want to remind everyone, next week is our last show of the year. Then I'm going to take a little break, but remember, we're going to 4 p.m. on Wednesday, still on Wednesdays, and this Saturday from 2 to 4 Eastern time, we're going to have a light workers. We have one in Hawaii and one in London, so we're stretching the time zones here. It's going to be the last Reawaken You, so if you've had wondering all those woo-woo strange questions, the light workers are here to answer it for you. You can find out more information at reawakenyourbrilliance.com or here on Nissan Communications. Check out the events page. It's only $10. We want to reach as many people as possible. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Go out and reawaken your brilliance. Bye now.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays, 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.